One thing I want to say is that my dad growing up, he believed in Darwinism. I never went to any church. I never did anything spiritual or anything. My grandpa became a metapsychiatrist when he was 40 years old, so my dad was never exposed to any of that stuff. So my dad probably just believed in Darwinism. So, but as I was saying, my sister ended up having a baby, and I wanted to meet the baby, but my family wouldn't let me. I call my mom and dad, can I meet the baby? They're like, no, my mom, no, we're never gonna see you again in your life. You just have to accept that, and then that got me upset. And then I ended up going to synagogue, and then the rabbi had the security pat me down and everything. And then I was sitting down at the back of the synagogue, and then the rabbi comes and sits next to me, and he's looking, and I think he's staring at me. So I'm just sitting there, and the rabbi's like sitting right here, and he's like staring at me. And then so I get up and I leave, and then I ended up calling him, and I cussed him out. But then the rabbi told me, oh, what happened was he was sitting there, and he said he was looking out the window because someone was going to come through the gate, and he had to look through the window because they have like such tight security. But I thought he was staring at me. So then that happened. But like I said, I was already uptight, and then I'm hanging out with, like, my friends are not good friends. Like, I had a friend from UC San Diego, and like he had like anger issues. But I remember his ex told me, like, why does your family not see you? Like, you're completely normal. You don't have anger issues. You don't have anything wrong with you. And I'm like, yep, that's true. But my family doesn't know that. My mom, like I said, my mom thinks I'm crazy. Like, when I went to the yeshiva in New York, my mom was like, you can't go to yeshiva. You're too crazy. You have schizophrenia. She thinks I'm crazy and like going to go insane. No, I'm a normal person, but she hasn't seen me in 20 years, so she doesn't know that. So then, as I was saying, I went to, so I wanted to meet my sister's kid, but my parents wouldn't let me go to Texas. They said they're never gonna see me again, and you just have to accept it, because again, it comes from my grandpa. When my shot got messed up, my dad messed up my shot. He screwed up my shot, and then I needed his help, and he's like, I give up. And then my grandpa's like, Ryan, you just have to accept it. Everything is energy. Everything is one. You just have to accept. So my mom's like, yeah, you just have to accept it. So, basically my parents are stupid. And as I said, even like the psychologist, and first off, one psychologist who my mom brought me to said that my mom was the problem. Then she took me away from her. Even another psychologist I talked to at my school, he was like, dude, your parents are stupid. So, and they're stupid, and they just misinterpret my grandpa's teachings. They don't have any knowledge or wisdom. They don't go to any church. They don't go to any synagogue. They don't have any knowledge or wisdom about anything. And they think that what they're doing is right. But, they misinterpret my grandpa's teachings. But my grandpa was also stupid, He didn't understand. Like I said, I tried to explain to him about the main problem was the shoe machine, because he wanted to think there was something wrong with me, that I tried to make things happen. And I'm going to get to that. Like, it's my will problem. But then I tried to explain to him. He's like, Ryan, if you were in the flow, it wouldn't matter if you had the shoe machine. Like, look at Sean Marion. He had a funky shot. No, Grandpa, you don't fucking get it. If I could show him the details about how good shooters shoot, about how the shoot away doesn't prevent it. But I told my grandpa, I'll show you some videos. I'll show you what happened. He's like, I'm not interested. I just want to show my dad, and I want my dad to, I want to show him, hey, you did mess up my shot, but hey, I'm doing good now. Now let's move on. I discovered a theory of everything. Let's move on. Maybe you can support me. And I want to show my dad how I shoot now, that I'm doing better. And that shoot away messed up my shot. But, my parents are stupid. They won't talk to me. So then, like I said, I finally got in contact with my friend Malik, and I wanted to get basketball videos so I could study my shot. I could study swag flow. I could study all that stuff. He told me that his dad had gone crazy. And he told me not to, that his dad had the videos, and he didn't know if I could get them. So I called his dad, and then I told him, I'll give your dad money if he can give me the video. So he gets me in contact with his dad, and I call him, and then I meet him, and he's like hiding out at a hotel because he was P. Diddy's bodyguard, and he'd gone kind of crazy. And I don't know if he was on drugs or what, but he was too crazy. And he's talking about, like, Pat Barrett's raping kids. He's the coach of SCA, and he's talking about all this stuff. He's talking about, people P. Diddy is a homosexual and a rapist, and he's telling me all this stuff, and that he's telling me that he killed his ex-wife, and he's telling me all this stuff, and he even is insinuating that he killed Tupac. And so I'm listening to all this, but I just want my basketball videos. But then I'm with my friend Bill, and Bill was kind of taking me out of my grandpa stuff. So like one of the things my grandpa taught me, my grandpa would be like, never compliment anybody, because my grandpa would say that the self is an illusion. So he would say never compliment anybody, because if you compliment, you say like, you're amazing, you're confirming the illusion that he's a separate self. You're amazing. He says, and instead celebrate, like, wow, that shot was amazing, or wow, that was incredible. He said celebrating is okay because it's not self-confirmatory. It's not confirming the illusion of the separate self. But, I was with my friend Bill, and he's teaching me how to get girls, and he's saying, yeah, don't be a stupid idiot like your grandpa says. He says, your grandpa makes you a douchebag. He said, your grandpa's transpersonal psychology is stupid. He's like, if you're talking to a girl, tell her, hey, you're beautiful. And hey, so I'm like, so I'm listening to Bill, and he's helping me to become more normal, right? And then, as I said, I meet up with Malik's dad, Kenny, and then, but then Bill's like, dude, let him stay at your place, and he says he has to get these DVDs, you'll get the DVDs. So I have him stay at my place, but Kenny's acting too crazy. I'm not gonna go into details, but at the same time, I was stupid though, because I was posting like all these pictures of me and Kenny together. Because a part of it is because I've been alienated for so long, and I want to show people, hey, look, I'm normal. I have a cool, I grew up and I was playing on the South Coast, the best team in the country, and look, I'm hanging out with, P. Diddy's bodyguard, and I'm cool, so I'm posting all these pictures, but I maybe overdid it, right? So my grandpa would say, yeah, you made things happen, but at the same time, I'm alienated. My family won't talk to me. And then, so Malik's dad is asking me, he's like, Ryan, what happened? Like, why is your dad not talking to you? Because growing up, my dad did everything with me. He always went to all of my tournaments, and my dad shot me every day, and he loved me. And he's like, what's the deal? Why is your dad not talking to you? So, and I'm like, my dad thinks I have schizophrenia. And then, so Malik's dad calls my dad, and he's talking to my dad, but I wasn't there to hear it. But, and I was telling Malik's dad, I told him about the shoot-away machine, how it messed up my shot. But Malik's dad was saying like, no, it wasn't a shoot-away, Ryan. Shoot-away machine wouldn't mess up your shot. And then what's interesting is he told me, he told me that what he had told my dad is that when I was shooting, a lot of times I would do what like Luka Doncic does, or even like Allen Iverson does. I would catch it, and then I would step to the left, and my left foot would be pointed out, and then I would shoot, right? But he was telling my dad that he wanted me to learn how to do this and shoot. So then my dad had me in the backyard going like this all the time. But if you look at NBA players, even them, when they do this, their left foot would be in front of their right, and then they'll jump, and then they'll turn, or something like that, right? So you can do that, but my dad, wanted me to start shooting like that. So I'm picking up off the rack, and I'm doing this all the time. And so then my dad was like, Ryan, we'll pick up the ball. Because I'm doing this, it's making my left foot go forward and my right foot like this. So it's making me square. So my dad was like, well, shoot sideways, go like this. But no. If anything, if you're going, this is an inaccurate shot. If I could go into details, I'll explain everything. But I don't want to make a sure thing. But this is an accurate shot, dribbling to the right. If you dribble to the left, it's more accurate because your left foot's pointed out. And that's why a lot of players will dribble up and then they'll move it to the left hand and then go like this. But going like this, it's inaccurate. But you can go like this and shoot, and that's normal. Your left foot would be pointing out, your right foot would be pointing like this, but it's still inaccurate. But my dad was telling me, go like this and stick your right foot to the left to be sideways. He completely screwed me up. Completely screwed up my shot. But then I realized that Kenny was the one who kind of was an impetus to that. Because he told me that he had told my dad that he wanted me to start learning how to start shooting like that a little bit. But my dad didn't know what he was doing. So my dad, I would have been a great basketball player. I probably would have played in the NBA. Coaches said I was the best I'd ever coached. I would play in the NBA, at least high-level Division I. And I still think I could play professional. But even despite all the crazy stuff. But I was that amazing. If you look at videos, my swag flow, I want to get more videos. But my dad messed up my shot with the shoot-away. And my dad was stupid. He told me to do the wrong thing. He was stupid. He overdid stuff. So, but my point is, so I'm trying to get the videos from Kenny, but Kenny was acting way too crazy. And then, he's talking to my dad, and then he tells me that my dad did think I had schizophrenia. But he told me that also my dad acknowledged that he messed up my shot with the shoot-away machine. But he said that still my dad refused to talk to me. I just want to talk to my dad. I want to move on. I want to show my dad that my shot's good now. So anyways, Kenny takes me over to some place, what's it called? What's that place? Irvine. And that's where Pat Barrett was, and he had a restraining order against Pat Barrett, and like I said, Kenny had been going crazy. But then he brought me to this place where we played basketball, and I made like 6 3-pointers in a row. And then everyone there was like, dude, this is the best player we ever played against. And Kenny didn't record that game, but he recorded the game afterwards. No, he recorded the game before, but he didn't record the game where I made the 6 3-pointers. But Kenny was like, damn, like that's good. But then, like I said, things could have been good. But Kenny, because I'd been on my own for so long, Kenny was like, he was disrespecting me. Kenny had gone crazy. He was going crazy. And he also was with this white woman. And this white woman, but I seeing myself as Jewish, I liked it. I liked seeing the white woman with the black guy, but because I was for race mixing and everything. But this white woman was like Christian, and she was kind of crazy, but she was friends with Kenny's sister or something, and this lady was a bitch, and Kenny was acting crazy, and basically they were gonna try to steal my apartment, but I just wanted my basketball videos. And they were being too disrespectful to me, so I ended up having to just kick Kenny out. And then he tried to break into my apartment, and he did break into my apartment, stole a lot of my stuff. And he ended up not getting me. I ended up getting a few videos, and they helped me out a ton, but I want to get more basketball videos. But he was being way too disrespectful to me. He was being way too crazy. So then, after that was when I met my ex-girlfriend, who ended up getting pregnant, and she ended up having an abortion, so I'll get to that.